Welcome back to St. Isidore's Farm. First, wanted to say thank you to the new subscribers to the channel for following. I'm always humbled that anybody would subscribe to this channel, which is really in some ways an archive for us as a family of the things we're doing out here on this farm. Also occasionally to make videos that are I hope contributing back to all of the information and things that are available on YouTube that I have benefited from greatly. So again, to new subscribers, thank you. It is funny, subscriber Nancy V made a comment a few weeks ago that this channel was like a box of chocolates that you never knew what you were going to get. So I agree, it is probably pretty random. But this video wanted to do was talk about getting free firewood. Out where we are, there are, I suppose, 3 options for heating. We do not have access to natural gas out here, so propane is probably the one that some people will use, but it is extremely expensive. So not really an ideal option for us. Can heat with electric, but in my opinion, heat pumps do not produce a good quality heat. It's pretty inefficient, and it's also expensive. So that leaves, at least for us, heating with wood, which is great because I love it, and as does my wife, and I think the kids, because it produces a terrific heat. But it's I think there's more to it than just the heat. There's something about heating with a wood stove and being around the hearth and a fire. And it also combines a love of the outdoors, getting to use chainsaws and axes and log splitters, as well as a chance to have for exercise and just time to think. You know, to go out and actually sit and split a cord of firewood takes a fair amount of time, but it's kind of mindless. I mean, to the extent that you know, you have to be safe, but it's fairly repetitive. And and it allows you to think about other things, contemplate other things, time in prayer, think about work, family, etc. while you're doing it. So I wanted to echo a video that Eric at Life in Farmland, one of my favorite channels. He makes really terrific videos, beautiful quality, does an amazing job editing. I wish I had the time to edit the way he does. He makes much better videos, but I'll put a link to his video on this same subject about how to get free firewood. So my thoughts on it are this, probably 3 ways that I have gotten access to firewood, and also just some tips about it. The first would be years ago, what I would do is just go on Craigslist and look for people who were posting for free firewood. You got to be careful with that one though, because sometimes people post just junk that they're trying to get rid of. I laugh sometimes that I look at the postings and it'll be a pile of sticks that they're putting for free firewood. But occasionally really come across some terrific situations and finds. People who have had a large oak tree taken down in their yard, but they didn't want to pay the tree service to remove all of the wood, so they had it dropped in their yard and then posted it on Craigslist. Couple of points about that. One, when you call or texting with them about it, I would highly recommend making sure that what the access to the wood is like. If you know they've got a pristine manicured yard and they don't want you to take a wheelbarrow or walk across it or leave tracks in the yard, I mean, I don't know how they expect to get it out of their backyard. But if they'll let you actually back up a truck to it to load the firewood in the back, or if it's not too long of a distance, pretty short distance, then that's pretty ideal. Like I said, I've gotten cords and cords of firewood that way. So that's my thoughts on Craigslist. Second option might be that if you are driving around, especially out in more rural areas where we are, you will have deadfall trees or trees that go over in a storm. In some cases, those are folks that may not have the ability or the equipment to get rid of it themselves. They may not have the financial means to get rid of it, to pay someone to come get it, or maybe it's an elderly person or couple that just do not have the physical ability or the means to get rid of it. And in those cases, similar to trying to find places to hunt, I found that if you dress fairly nicely, you go to the door, introduce yourself, and ask them about the tree. If they would like you to, if they would mind if you would cut it up and remove some of the tree. Then I've gotten some firewood that way, and not only is it great for us and it's free firewood, but it's also providing a service to neighbors in your community and helping them out. One other thought, well, move on to third way, and I think this is what Eric says, Life at Farmland. His point is to let people know that you heat with firewood. And I think probably I've thought about this some because I've really we have benefited from this ourselves. And I've wondered, how is it that so many people know that we heat with firewood? Well, social media. If you post pictures of cutting firewood and having chainsaws or cutting or splitting a stack of wood, and that goes out onto social media, well, then anybody that you're connected with in the area is going to see that and will probably remember it. I mean, I certainly have let people know that we love to heat with wood and have done a fair amount of posting pictures on social media of us getting and splitting and burning firewood. And what that does then is people will call when they have trees cut down or they have trees fall and they don't have the equipment, or they'd like to save some money. And it's great because I think it provides opportunities for fellowship to go over and hang out. Oftentimes they'll help load the wood. That just happened recently with good friends that had a tree down, and they tried to cut as much as they could with a smaller chainsaw and knew that I had a larger chainsaw and asked if I'd like to come over and cut it up and have the wood, which said yes. So kind of a win-win-win for us and them. They get rid of the wood, we get free firewood, and an opportunity to hang out and chat with friends. Other little point of caution on that, I think, though, is even going back to the Craigslist point, and even with friends, is to be cautious in saying how much you'll take. I ran into some friends at our church that had an enormous oak tree. And when I say enormous, I think the base of this tree, it must have been an almost 200-year-old oak tree, and the base had to be every bit of 5 feet in diameter. And we took all of the tops of the tree, and even the upper branches of this tree were so big that we had to use a 25-inch bar to cut through some of those. So that gives you an idea how big the base was. And he said, well, if we get somebody to cut up the bottom of it, and I said, and split it, then we'd probably come back and try and get it. And in my experience with big trees, if you get them if you can get a big round cut in half, typically you can get it to split a little bit easier from there. And in this case, just bit off more than we could chew. I went over and even putting a wedge on it and really trying to go at it. We could not split these logs, and I felt bad because I think they probably could have gotten rid of this tree had they just had the guys that were cutting it up thinking I would take it. I just had them take and get rid of the largest part, the main part of that trunk. So I would say be careful, and sometimes, kind of what people's expectations are that, you may not be able to entirely clean everything up. And, in our case, look, I've got a full-time job. I mean, we've got a farm and our family. We're not a tree service. That's not what it is. So I think to be clear about those expectations with people before you go over and start taking the wood. And you'll see that on Craigslist sometimes too, is that they let you get rid of the wood, but they want you to take everything, all the branches and everything else. And in those cases, I'm not really interested in doing yard work. I want to get the free firewood. So that is it. I think it's a great way for us. It has helped in two, I think, with our kids, especially the boys, going and getting firewood, work ethic. And you know, my wife, she loves a fire. She loves having that wood stove going year round, and she jokes that when I bring home a truckload of firewood, it's like bringing her roses. So and go back to another point about it's just great exercise outdoors. As Henry Ford said, I think Henry Ford said, heat with wood and it'll warm you twice. And it does. So in not just the fire, but in all of the effort that it takes to get it and cut it up. So thanks for watching the video. I hope this is a help if you are wanting to get and heat with firewood, and especially to do it for free, not to pay somebody else to bring you split firewood to get it yourself. But those are just 3 ways that we have found to get firewood for our family. And that's it. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. God bless.